Hi everyone, this is Dan from HeadMania, and today we're going to review a very special product. And it's an exciting review for me because I have a lot of history with this company. It's called Rockna Audio, and if you have read some of my past reviews, you would know that I'm a very big fan of this company and the products that they have. And I've listened to products from their company since I think more than 10 years ago, maybe 13 years ago, when I heard at that point a very good product. It was an um, USB interface that was very helpful for DACs that didn't have a very good USB input. It was it was called Hydra X, and it was actually from the sister company of Rockna. And I've heard other very good products from Audiophile. That was my entry into this. But then, after a few years, I managed to listen to their first implementation of a Wavedream DAC from Rockna. And at that point, they didn't have their own DAC chips inside. They used FPGA, and they had very good DAC chips from MSB. But after a few years, they have changed the philosophy. They have redesigned their products. They chose to do most everything in house, including their DAC chips. They have everything in their factory. They have a lot of robots, and they print their own motherboards. They have their own designs. They have a 10 layer with this final product. They have a 10 layer motherboard that they put every circuit on. So they have evolved in the last 15, 20 years amazingly, right? And I've heard this throughout their products, which are very, very special. And I actually owned Rockna Wave Lite for I think around 4 years. It was my favorite deck up until Rockna Wavedream, which I also reviewed on my website. That was the top deck that I've one of the best that I've ever heard, and I loved it a lot, and I actually wanted to buy it, but I ended up buying this one. And this was just released in December. It's called the Rockna Wavedream Reference Signature DAC. And believe me, this brought my systems to a whole new level. And I'm telling you about systems because I also have a speaker system that I use here. I have the Martin Logan's ESL 11A impression. I have as a preamplifier the Hollow Bliss KTE, which is actually also used as a headphone amplifier with the T plus A Solitaire P headphones, which I reviewed and you can already find on my website. They're consider them to be the best headphones out there. I also have and I use the Chord Ultima 5 as a power amplifier for the speakers. And both systems, I just cannot get enough out of them. They already sounded amazing with the Wavelight, but it just took it to levels I did not expect. So, by the way, you know that I most of the times I have much more information within the written review, which you can find below. I actually recommend to go through it because I have a lot of details. I go through specific songs. I talk about how it sounds in the system. I talk about how I tested in general, more features, and basically you get much more information there because I don't want to keep this video review a lot longer than it should be. So more details in the written review. But let's go on, and I wanted to say that this product is something that I never expected in terms of performance because, as I told you, I've heard the Wavelight. I was a very big fan of it, and I have the Wavedream, and it was amazing. I wanted that, right? I was actually curious how can it sound better than Wavedream, and the reference is actually better, and I'm gonna explain how and how I hear things. First of all, let's go through a couple of things. Basically, the reference is a redesign of the Wavedream product, but it's basically they redesigned the architecture almost entirely, actually. So they have a better clock system, reducing the jitter to record levels where it matters. And it's funny because I think Nuku Jitaryu, which is the founder, who is the founder of the company, the name is a bit prophetical, let's say. It is given, so he has this ultimate goal to fight the jitter. And I think this is the product that he managed to bring jitter to a whole new level. So this is besides the clock system, they also redesigned the DAC chips. They have a better architecture than before. They have two types of DAC chips. The reference has the RD0, the signature version. It's a 27-bit DAC, and it has balanced and unbalanced. The balanced version has 4 DACs, the non-signature version has RD1, which is a 26-bit DAC, and it can have 2 or 4. Besides that, they also redesigned the output stage, which is analog. They also redesigned the power supply, and you can find all of the details in this in the written review below. What I also liked is that it has a touchscreen now, and it's very responsive. You can go throughout the menu with your finger, and it's much easier to use now than before. It also has an app, and as it had before, it has a mobile app, and it kind of mimics the menu from the DAC itself. It's very responsive, and one of the best things about it is that the firmware updates. You can go in the menu, go in the about, go in the firmware, see if it has the latest version. If it doesn't, just press the button update to the latest version. That's it. That's amazing. Coming from other products in audio, updating the firmware like that is a really, really good step in the right direction. Let's talk a bit about how I tested this. So basically, again, I tested in both the headphone and the speaker system. But I tested it on multiple inputs. Basically, I had this monster thing to improve the USB input, because most of the audiophiles have like servers and network and stuff like that. But because I use the system right near my computer, I usually have to use it a lot on the USB. So I need a very good USB input. So that's why I have a Matrix USB card on my PC. I also have a Dana Fripp's Gaia, which is a USB converter, to E2S basically, that and goes directly into Rockna. So it converts USB to I2S, which goes into Rockna. I also have this power supply, ultra low noise power supply P8 from Ketches, which is basically powering the Matrix USB card from the PC. So I went to a lot of trouble to fix the USB, and it did fix it, because in the past I had some problems with the USB, and it was noisy, and it inserted noise in the music, and it was quite obvious, right? So I solved this with this in the past. Now I tested even the USB input. I tested from reference, and even if it's not galvanically isolated, it still sounded quite clean. But I did change my PC with a better power supply. I think I have the Seasonic Prime Titanium, 1600 watts. But and I think it's quite clean already. But definitely the USB sounds quite good from on itself. However, I still prefer the I2S through the Dana Fripp's from the PC into the Wavedream compared to the normal USB, even if it's a good one. And I also tested the network. It has a network input, and this is amazing because that is a network renderer. I tested using Audiophile. I went into Audiophile. I chose the UPnP version. It synced very well. It found the DAC easily out of the box. I didn't have to do anything. I just streamed on it. and it worked very, very well. And I think that the network input is amazing because ultimately it sounds better than all I tried to do to improve the USB sound through all of this type, the ultra low noise power supply, the Dana Frips USB converter interface, the PCI Express Matrix card. It was like too much, but I had no choice. I'm gonna still use that, but maybe at one point I'm gonna, because they take up too much space, I may give up on them. I just say that the network input is better. There are some cases where, let's say, the USB input gives a bit more weight to the sound, but it's not that big of a difference. And overall, the network renderer does sound more detailed and considerably cleaner. You have less jitter there or something. It's cleaner, it's more transparent, and it's quite obvious when compared to the other. So that's a very good thing because it has the renderer there. It fixes a lot of things without you having to worry about all of the other stuff that I told you I had to do before. So that's it from the testing part. But I also played around with some filters there, and I have a similar experience here because as I did before, as you remember, or if you have read the Rockna Wavelight and Wavedream reviews, they have a linear, minimum phase, and hybrid, and of course NOS, which doesn't apply any filter. And on both Wavelight and older Wavedream, I ended up liking the hybrid. Why? Because kind of it keeps the amazing punch and the incredible attack that brings dynamics into the song, but also it is very natural, right? So it has the best of everything. And this is the case with the reference signature as well. So I still prefer the hybrid, but sometimes I do go for the linear for a bit faster sound, a bit more precise in terms of when the notes end. But I still, however, prefer the hybrid because it has the best of everything. It has an amazing explosive attack. It has a natural decay, and basically, it's it's the best out of all from my perspective. And there it is. I didn't try Rune yet. I only tried UPnP protocol on the Audiophile, but I can say that it does a very good job there, and as I mentioned before. And I think, I'm not sure if I missed something in terms of what I had to test for, but I think we can go in how it actually sounds. And of course, again, if you want to go into details on the specific songs that I tested it with, you can go into written review. But so far, I'm gonna give you a summary. So the bass on the Wavedream reference signature is legendary. I think it's the best I've ever heard. If your system is capable of bringing you this experience, but because of course your system will be important here to be capable of driving this, you'll get almost a religious experience out of this. I'm telling you, it hits you with immense power. It goes deep into your soul. It presents an incredible amount of control and detail and that beautiful decay. It can wipe the floor with you, throw you around. It can it can pat you on the back, or gently massage you, depending on that song, right? So it's superb, right? The mid range is also stunning. Have you ever? It's like breathing life into the music. It's showing layers and layers of detail, but in a very natural way, and it has amazing textures. It's like you feel the materials of the instruments. You can feel the breath of the instruments, the vocals. It's amazing. Eh, Have you ever seen a game that received a texture upgrade from 180p to 4K, like The Witcher, for example? It just changes everything. And this is what it's so much detail. Whenever you look at any object, right, in that game, and this is exactly like that, you look at any object, it is like everything gets an upgrade with this deck. Everything, any texture from anything, any instrument, anything gets a load of more detail. It's like going from 1K to 4K, from 180p to 4K. Amazing. Um, the treble is detailed, but it's also like a breath of fresh air compared to any other decks on the market that sound harsh in comparison. It has a body. It's actually a bit tactile on the right headphones, right? It gives air to the soundstage. I would say something here. Wavedream, the latest, the former Wavedream, I mean, the older Wavedream, was a bit more sharp in the treble. Not in a bad way necessarily. It was a bit more sharp, right? This is a bit smoother. I still think it's more consistent than the other one. I think I prefer this one, but I think it's a matter of taste and probably I'm not sure if it will change with the firmware updates because it's a new product, and in these types of decks, the firmware updates can change the sound improve the sound in a dramatic way from firmware to firmware. But this is a bit of a difference here. It is still it is a smoother sound treble. It's still a very detailed treble. It is tactile, but it's a bit sharper with the older Wavedream. Let's talk about the timings, the Pratt, the dynamics. I can tell you, this plays in a league of its own. Um, I don't think I've ever heard such thing in my life before. It manages to infuse energy into each instrument, sound, voice, even at lower volumes. Even if it's the instrument that it plays at the end of the orchestra, it still has energy, life in it. It's infused with energy there. It can explode in dynamism. It's showing stunning dynamic range and a superb transition in timing from one note to the other. The precision of the transients is also stunning, showing also an incredible powerful attack, but also a natural and very detailed decay. The detail, let's go to the detail. The abundance of detail presented by the Wavedream reference signature is ridiculous. Ridiculously good. The interesting part is that Rockna managed to do something special here. Nothing is thrown at you, shouting at you like, "Hey, look at me, I'm detailed." No, it's distributed evenly everywhere. But it's so much detail that its experience is similar to real life in the sense that you cannot look at something and perceive all of detail at once. You have to focus your attention in different parts of the object to perceive the details. This is exactly the same. You focus on the drums, you hear the superb detail of percussion and extension. You focus on a guitar, you can hear the hands literally touching the strings before the pluck. You can hear the strings vibrate at full force, moving the thin air around it. It's almost like you can zoom in the air near the string and see the particles and dust being energetically moved around by the strings. When you focus on the vocals, you need to look around the room, as it's like singers are in the room with you, or singing intimately into your ears, right? It can go on. I can go on and on, but I think I made my point, right? So let's talk about tonality, and there is no sign of digital harshness anywhere. It is stunning. I wanted to talk about tonality, but this is lifelike experience, and I cannot tell you how many times I got startled. I looked around the room because I had the impression that the sound originated near me. Sorry about that. not to say that in some songs I was startled by the vocals. They were so real that I had the impression they were right near me. Uh, this is beyond the natural, not natural discussion analysis. This is lifelike. This is real life. It's stunning, right? It's amazing. I know I've said this enough. Maybe I said it too much, but this is it. And I've heard this. I was got startled by other products in the past as well. And I had the impression, probably heard in other reviews, a similar impression that I got startled. But it's that difference. When you hear something, and for half a second, or microsecond, you feel it's like there with you, but your brain then realizes it's not. It's something from the sound. This is different because it takes longer for the brain. It's actually not longer. It takes too much, and you actually have to check around because the brain doesn't realize it's from the song, so it goes beyond that. The few microseconds that it fools you, right? This is the full experience, or almost the full experience of you thinking that it originates from the room with you. The transparency of this thing, the Wavedream reference signature is like a portal into the music. It removes anything between you and the music. Hell, it's not even a window. It's like a time machine. You know why? Because some songs transported me directly into high school, because of the memories I had on the songs from that time, right? So, yeah, it was quite an experience. And I can go on, but I think you get the impression. Actually, I forgot to mention about the soundstage. The soundstage is one of the first thing you notice when you first listen to this deck, because it sounds huge. It's amazingly choreographic, and when I say it sounds huge, it's not like HD at 100 when it sounds huge but not necessarily natural. Which HD at 100 it sounds exaggerated, right? No, it captures exactly how the sound, how the soundstage from the recording, where the recording took place, right? So, and it manages to transfer that experience to you. So that's that's a very good achievement from my perspective, and it also manages to place everything in space with a very good precision, leaving a lot of space between the instruments and having lots of layers. However crowded the scene is, right? So it just unpacks it. So now let's get a bit to a small comparison to how it sounds to the previous products. So the Wavedream Signature and the Wavelight. And if you read my previous reviews on both of them, I was already in love with the Rockna Wavelight before I listened to the previous Wavedream, right? And I thought it had a very good. It brought balance between a natural sound, musicality, technicalities in a really fun microdynamics. So Wavelight brought all of that. But I was already floored by Rockna Wavedream Signature. I was actually very curious how something can sound better than the Wavedream Signature, but I surely found out. So, just to quote a bit from the previous comparison between the older Wavedream and the Wavelight, the Wavelight occupies a different league, but I still respect its capabilities and commend Rockna for what they have achieved with that model. Although it doesn't offer the same level of detail, precision, astounding soundstage, or overall realism as the Wavedream, the Wavelight still boasts excellent dynamics, particularly in the macro aspect, a slightly smoother sound, and a touch more romantic character. I mean that the sound is somewhat rounder, more intimate, and less revealing. However, don't mistake the Wavelight from lacking punch, as it remains among the top decks I know in that area. In fact, it hits so hard that often I have to double check it to make sure my speakers are not on while listening with headphones. Sometimes it happened, but not in this case. The vocals are a bit closer to the listener with Wavelight and have a bit more weight, but they don't possess the same level of detail and texture as the Wavedream. And I'm talking about the other Wavedream, the older Wavedream. Furthermore, the Wavelight exhibits detailed, delightful textures and tonality. In terms of realism, while it's not on the Wavedream level, it still performs remarkably in that regard, though it doesn't possess such a holographic or expansive soundstage or the same level of detail. The tonality, placement of instruments, and intimacy of the vocals make it a top-tier experience in this respect. Wavelight is amazing, I still love it, and for me it remains one of the best decks ever heard. However, in comparison, it's a little brother, and this is what I said, comparing it with the former Wavedream. So why am I quoting this? As you can see in the review from above, or in this description that I just give you, there were a few differences in the sound character between the two, as Wavelight was incredibly strong on microdynamics and was a bit more romantic in the sense explained previously. Wavedream reference signature effectively takes the best from both and combines them into beautifully into a blissful experience. It's just better than both because it keeps the amazing macro punch from the Wavelight. It also has the amazing micro punch from the Wavedream and goes much more beyond that. It also managed to sound incredibly musical throughout, through realism, incredible vocals that touch your soul with their presence, but also improving on all of the things the Wavedream signature does as well, from precision, soundstage, details, timings, transparency, everything, right? So, yeah, it's I was a bit concerned that because it will sound different, but yeah, it took everything from the best. Everything they had the best in each product and just made it better. So blissful experience. And let's go to the conclusion. This is not a cheap deck by any means. It's Rockna has a lot of years of experience. I think it has more than 2 decades. You can read about the history in my review. I also been to the factory. It was an amazing experience. It was so tidy, and they have a lot of things, a lot of robots there that they use to actually create the things in the design and the boards inside the house, right? So they do everything in house, and it's one of those things when I see a product like this and it's made in Romania, makes me proud to be a Romanian. This is, I think, the best deck I've ever heard, and it's made in Romania. Right? And I've seen this evolution, and it makes me it's emotional for me because it's beautiful to see an evolution like this and to hear it, right? Again, this is not a cheap deck. Not everybody will be able to afford it. I think it's around 20 something K. But it is a reference product. It's a statement. It's like it will stay at the heart of Rockna. It is I can tell you it is like it is an attestament to what they can do, and it also proves their passion and the fact that they went in the right direction. The fact that they did not stop, they did not copy anything else. They have chosen their own path. They were original. And the fact that there is a very competent and passionate team in Rockna, besides the wonderful founder, Nuku Gitariu. So, yeah, it's I'm really happy that I managed to listen to this product, to see the factory, to actually own this product at this point. They managed one thing that I've said couple of times before on the Facebook and the other groups. Rockna Audio managed to achieve the level of art done through engineering.